What is the most important wager of your life? You might think of your marriage, your career, that risky investment that could change everything. But what if I told you there is a greater wager, a bet that defines not only your success here on earth, but your destiny for all eternity? And what's more, what if this wager, far from being a blind leap in the dark, was the most logical and strategic decision a human being can make? Welcome to the mind of Blaise Pascal, a mathematical genius, a brilliant physicist, an inventor who revolutionized his time, and a man who, at the peak of his intelligence, faced the greatest of all questions. Does God exist? And what do I do with this uncertainty? Today, we are not going to talk about Pascal just as a philosopher. We are going to unveil Pascal the strategist, the master who applied the logic of numbers and probabilities to the game of life and eternity, creating what became known as Pascal's wager. But we will go further. We will reveal how this wager is not just about winning heaven, but about unlocking a life of wealth, purpose, and power. Right here, right now. This is the divine strategy that makes you win everything. Clarity and prosperity in this life and glory in the next. A strategy where the gain is infinite and the loss is insignificant. Because deep down, your entire life is a wager. Every day, you bet your time, your energy, your faith on something. The question is, are you betting on the right horse? Are you making the investment that offers the absolute return? Prepare to discover how one decision, a single powerful decision, can completely reconfigure your financial, mental, and spiritual reality. Pascal's logic is about to challenge everything you thought you knew about risk, reward, and the true meaning of winning it all. Stay with me to understand the genius of Pascal's divine strategy. We must first delve into the human condition as he saw it. Pascal looked at humanity and saw a fascinating paradox. We are at the same time great and miserable. Great because we possess reason. We are thinking reeds. We are capable of understanding the universe, of creating beauty, of loving, of aspiring to the infinite. We are the glory of the cosmos, but we are also miserable. We are fragile, mortal, tormented by anxiety, boredom, uncertainty. We are a reed, the most fragile thing in nature, which a simple vapor can destroy. And the worst part of our misery, according to Pascal, is that we know we are miserable. A tree does not know it is fragile. We do. And what do we do to deal with this duality, with this unbearable tension between our greatness and our finitude? We seek distraction. We immerse ourselves in work, in parties, in games, in noise, in anything that prevents us from being alone with our own thoughts, alone with the great questions. Who am I? Where do I come from? Where am I going? And above all, what happens after all this is over? Man, said Pascal, has a mortal fear of silence, of the empty room, of the encounter with himself. Because in that encounter, he faces his nothingness, his dependence, his emptiness. And he perceived that in the heart of every human being there is an infinite abyss, a God-shaped void that no created thing can fill. Only God, the Creator himself, can fill it. It is in this scenario of existential uncertainty that Pascal, the mathematician, enters the scene. He does not try to prove the existence of God with purely logical arguments, as Thomas Aquinas did. He says, reason by itself cannot decide. We are embarked. We are in the middle of the ocean of life, and we cannot not choose. We have to make a wager. Neutrality is not an option. Not betting is already a bet. The bet that God does not exist. So, he presents us with the options, like a master of games. You have two choices: wager that God exists, or wager that he does not exist. Scenario 1. You wager that God exists. If You are right and God exists. Your gain is infinite, eternal life, full happiness, glory. If you are wrong and God does not exist, your loss is finite and, Pascal argues, insignificant. You will have lived a virtuous life with purpose, love, and hope. What have you lost? Some fleeting pleasures, perhaps. Scenario 2. You wager that God does not exist. If you are right and God does not exist, your gain is finite, the pleasures and freedoms of a life without divine moral constraints. If you are wrong and God exists, your loss is infinite, the chance of an eternity of happiness. As a brilliant strategist, Pascal concludes, faced with a potentially infinite gain and a finite loss versus a finite gain and a potentially infinite loss, the most logical, most rational decision, the only intelligent wager, is to bet on the existence of God. It is the only move that makes strategic sense. But here is the key that connects this celestial wager to your earthly prosperity. The key that this channel wants to reveal to you. Pascal's wager is not just a calculation for the afterlife. It is a decision that transforms your life here and now. By making the wager on God, you are not just buying a lottery ticket to heaven, you are adopting a mental and spiritual operating system that, by its very nature, generates order, clarity, resilience, and consequently, prosperity. How? Think about it. Clarity of purpose. When you bet on God, your life gains a transcendent why. You stop living for the next distraction, for the next fleeting pleasure, and start living for a mission. This clarity of purpose focuses your energy, eliminates noise, and directs you towards building lasting value. One of the pillars of true wealth, inner peace and reduced anxiety. Much of our financial anxiety comes from fear of the future, from uncertainty, from the feeling that we are alone and helpless. The wager on God, the trust in providence, does not eliminate challenges, but it gives you an inner peace that pure reason cannot offer. A peaceful mind makes better decisions, sees opportunities more clearly, and is not paralyzed by panic. Solid, ethical foundation. Living as if God exists encourages you to practice virtues such as honesty, justice, diligence, generosity. And guess what? These are not just spiritual virtues. They are the foundations of business trust, solid reputation, and sustainable long-term financial success. No one builds a lasting empire on lies and disorder. Pascal's WAGER, therefore, is the ultimate strategy because it aligns the finite with the infinite. It invites you to make the most logical decision for eternity, and as an extraordinary bonus, this very decision optimizes your life for success and abundance here on earth. You do not have to choose between wealth here and glory in eternity. Pascal's divine strategy shows you how the pursuit of one inevitably leads to the other. Now that we understand the strategic logic behind the wager on God, we need to delve into the how. How does this decision transcend the intellectual and become a transformative force in our practical lives? It is here that Pascal reveals one of his deepest secrets, one that directly connects the heart to prosperity. This is our first practical pillar, the intelligent heart, uniting intuition and reason for absolute success. Pascal uttered one of the most enigmatic and powerful phrases in philosophy. The heart has its reasons, which reason does not know. This is not a call to irrational sentimentalism. For Pascal, the heart is the seat of intuition, of direct perception, of faith. It is the faculty that feels the deepest truths even before the logical mind can dissect and prove them. In the world of business and finance, we are often taught to trust only in reason, in data, in spreadsheets, in cold analysis. And that is important, as we saw with Thomas Aquinas. But the greatest achievers in history, the visionaries, the innovators, All had something more, a sharp intuition, a gut feeling, an ability to sense the right direction before it was obvious. To everyone, the wager on God is, first and foremost, a decision of the heart. It is the heart that feels the void that nothing in the world can fill. It is the heart that yearns for a greater purpose. It is the heart that, through faith, feels the reality of God. And when you make that wager, you open a direct channel to this intuitive and divine intelligence. How does this apply to your prosperity? Inspired decisions. By aligning your heart with God, you begin to have insights, ideas, perceptions that come not just from logical analysis, but from a deeper inspiration. You begin to feel which projects have soul, which partnerships are genuine, which investments are aligned with a greater purpose. Courage for the unknown. Pure reason often paralyzes us in the face of the unknown. The heart, illuminated by faith, gives us the courage to take the step, to wager on a new idea, to trust that even without all the answers, we are on the right path. Correct reading of people and situations. The heart feels the truth behind the words. Aligned with divine wisdom, it becomes a detector of integrity, helping to avoid traps, shady deals, and toxic relationships that could drain your energy and resources. The Pascalian strategy for absolute success, therefore, is not to despise reason, but to unite it with the power of the heart. It is to use your mind to plan, calculate, analyze, but to let your heart, moved by faith, guide the strategic direction. Reason is the map, but the heart is the compass that points to the true north. But for the heart to be able to guide, it needs an act of surrender. And this leads us to the second pillar, the radical decision, the power of the spiritual all-in. Pascal's WAGER is not a lukewarm experience or an intellectual curiosity. It is a total commitment. It is the equivalent of a player who, after carefully analyzing all the probabilities, decides to go all in on the play that offers the infinite gain. Many people live their financial and spiritual lives hedging their bets, diversifying their wagers on everything. A little faith, a little materialism, a little skepticism, a little hedonism. They never fully commit to anything, and therefore their results are always mediocre. They never experience the power that comes from a radical decision. When you make the wager on God authentically, you are saying to the universe, to God, and to yourself, I am fully committed to this path. My energy, my focus, my decisions, everything will be aligned with this belief. This radical decision has an immense psychological and spiritual effect. End of cognitive dissonance. The anguish of living divided, of trying to serve two masters, disappears. This frees up a huge amount of mental energy that was previously spent on doubt and indecision. Activation of laser focus. With a clear path and total commitment, your focus becomes as sharp as a laser. You know what is important and what is just a distraction. You stop wasting time and resources on things that do not lead you toward your greater purpose. Attraction of aligned resources. The universe, or divine providence, seems to respond to clarity and commitment. When you are all in on your mission, the right people, opportunities and resources begin to appear as if drawn by the force of your decision. Is your prosperity stagnant? Perhaps it is because you have not yet gone all in. You are still flirting with doubt, with mediocrity, with fear. Pascal's strategy is clear. Choose a side, and choose the side that logic and the heart point to as the most advantageous. Make your spiritual all-in and watch how power manifests in your life. Finally, this radical decision leads to a profound transformation of who you are. Our third pillar, the alchemy of the soul, transforming desires into destiny. Pascal understood that human nature, left to its own devices, ceaselessly seeks to fill its void with fleeting pleasures and distractions. It is a quest that never ends and never satisfies. This incessant search is the root of many destructive financial behaviors: compulsive consumerism, insatiable greed, going into debt to keep up appearances. When you bet on God, you begin a process of alchemy of the soul. Your desires begin to be transformed. The longing for one more thing is gradually replaced by the desire for more meaning. The desire to impress others is replaced by the desire to serve a greater purpose. This change of desire is the true key to freedom and lasting prosperity. End of the slavery of consumption. You stop being a slave to trends and marketing. You buy with intention, spend wisely, and find joy not in having, but in being and contributing. This in itself frees up immense financial resources. Focus on value creation, not extraction. Your focus shifts from what can I get to what can I create. You become a builder, a problem solver, a creator of value. And the universal principle is clear: money always follows value. Building a legacy. The desire for a 5-minute pleasure is exchanged for the desire to build a 100-year legacy. You start thinking long-term, investing in assets that grow, building solid businesses, investing in relationships that bear fruit. You stop building sandcastles and start building cathedrals. Pascal's WAGER, therefore, is not just a decision, but the beginning of a journey of transformation that realigns your deepest desires with the source of all satisfaction and abundance. The genius of Blaise Pascal was not just in showing us that betting on God is the most logical choice, but that this wager is the supreme strategy for a victorious life, here and in eternity. It is the definitive investment plan with finite risk and infinite return. Today, you have discovered the pillars of this divine strategy. Now do not be just a listener. Be a wagerer. Transform knowledge into action. Your Pascalian action plan. To win it all, place your bet now. Uncertainty paralyzes you. The decision frees you. Go to the comments now and declare your wager. Write, Pascal, I bet on God to win it all. Feel the power of this commitment. Boy, this is your turning point. Invite others to the game. If this video opened your mind to a new life strategy, like and share it with someone you know is living in indecision and fear. Show them that there is a smarter bet to be made. Apply the strategy today. Do this. Listen to your heart. Take 5 minutes today. Be silent. Ask your heart, not your anxious mind, what is the next step aligned with faith that I should take in my financial or professional life. Write down what comes without judgment, or make a symbolic all-in. Identify one area of your life where you have been mediocre or divided, and today, make one radical decision to fully commit in that area. Cancel a subscription that distracts you. Start that course you've been postponing. Make that difficult call. Show yourself that your bet is serious. Life is short and eternity is long. The wager is on the table. Blaise Pascal, the genius of strategy, has already shown us the winning play. The choice to play or to abstain is yours. Choose to win. Choose to win it all. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. In each video, we will continue to unveil the divine strategies for a life of success, purpose, and abundance. Until next time.